Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV. And wow, is it iced out? Hey, how appropriate, right? What about that? The frost. Hey, welcome to the Ice Age TV channel that talks about all my it's the internal combustion engine age. It talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and dogs and me and the kid and business and life. And hey, it's Friday morning. Jesus Christ. And it is incredibly beautiful up here, but incredible frost came through. Is it ice? Is it the ice age day because these cars are so iced over? I mean, look at that. Wow. It's just hard to believe it's already, it's hard to believe the snow could be here tomorrow. It's just hard to believe. Wow. But what, it's just a beautiful Friday morning. Cold, that's for sure. You can tell by the look of the cars. And wow, what are we doing today, right? What are we doing today on the Morning Conversations? And always, thank you for tuning in my channel. If you're a regular or a new person, really appreciate you giving me time to talk and share my life with you. And hopefully it can relate to your life. And yeah, that's what I like to do each morning. And I just talk about the cars and trucks and the state of times, all the good stuff. So we've had a heck of a week. Beautiful weather for the most part. Supposed to be another beautiful day tomorrow. Probably good motorcycle riding weather, possibly. And I thought to myself this morning, what have we had Monday through Thursday? Here, the multi-brand. Then we had the flaws. Then we had the strong. Then we had the week conversations yesterday. So the whole theme of the whole week spent about all my cars, pluses and minuses. And I thought to myself, how could we end the week with the conversations? And I thought, how about satisfied? How about, are you satisfied with what you bought? I thought that would be a great conversation. So let's get in here in the shop and dogs inside the shop, the barn, the office, because all it takes is somebody walking the dog across the way here, and it gets crazy. So we're in the stable. My daughter heard the boss, the big be the boss of your motorcycle, currently Rob. Gentleman that's got an Indian Pursuit, that I found his channel because he has the Indian Pursuit that has the steering wobble, and I by accident kind of found his channel. I'm sure a lot of people are like, man, if you're an Indian guy, I can't believe you don't know this guy Rob, who's a big Indian fan, and he references his new Indian Pursuit that he bought that he added to his stable. So my daughter last night was watching that video, and she's like, Dad, you got to name your shop stable because it's in a barn. I'm like, oh, okay. I think the Muscle Car Garage, the Muscle Age shop, I think is nicer. So all about, oh, we got to name it to the stable now. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that conversation numerous times, especially the tribe. If you're an Indian guy, you're part of the tribe now. All the lingo and sayings, right? So cleaned up my camera. Looks pretty clean this morning, doesn't it? And so with the satisfied, the satisfied conversations, I thought to myself, wow, isn't that so appropriate that for anybody here that buys a car, a motorcycle, a truck, SUV, clothes, I mean, it's universal to so many things. Got to drink my coffee. So you can look at the toys as I'm sitting here drinking my coffee. And I thought, isn't it so important that it's obvious that I'm satisfied with Dodge? I mean, would I have a bunch of Dodge vehicles sitting in my shop if I wasn't satisfied with the product they built? Out here, you can actually look at my... And I was so not much the John Deere guy growing up. I liked the Kubota. I love the orange color. I just love the Kubotas. I always, as a young kid, only wish my dad could afford to buy a Kubota, and he couldn't. And we had like 3 acres of property in New Jersey, and my dad bought a Case lawnmower tractor, but I so wanted to buy a Kubota tractor, but he just couldn't afford it. It's just too expensive. And so for me, it wasn't until I moved in 1991 when I moved here. It wasn't until like 94, I think, before I was able to buy myself a Kubota tractor. And actually it was a 2-wheel drive tractor too. I just couldn't afford the 4-wheel drive tractor. And my true beginnings of getting going, 95. And so I've owned a ton of Kubota tractors. And then over the years, I evolved to to the John Deere product. But the John Deere product has always been so expensive. And I know it's such more of a China-dominant built product that a lot of people think these John Deeres are just junk. But, you know, for me, for the record so far, I've had a lot of success with them, and they really are nice. I really like the way the cab is set up. John Deere has a better sealed cab than Kubota did years ago. So if you're the vineyard person, you're the garden person, whatever it may be, if you're setting up your tractor to be a spraying machine, which a lot of these people do that, John Deere was the only one that had the seal-proofed cab where you wouldn't have to worry about those chemicals getting into the cab. So John Deere held a strong market. I'm sure Kubota's probably addressed that by now, but I don't know. I'm just not the Kubota guy anymore, but John Deere, that's why I wear my Deere hat, and I just love my zero turns, and I love my my tractors and all that good stuff. So you look out here, satisfied, very satisfied with the Ford product. You know, but there's other things too that sometimes I'm not so satisfied with, and very satisfied with the Jeep brand, even though there's been times I haven't been satisfied with the brand. But it's interesting on the Ford product, the electric side, I've seen some of these videos out there on YouTube where people are really crying the blues to buy these electric Mach-E's and how they're not worth much anymore. One guy claims his is worth half. I don't know if that's factual or not, because the Ford Mustang Mach-E, I don't know, I can't keep track of it, but you're telling me that car is worth 30 grand. I haven't looked into that, no idea, but a lot of unsatisfied so-called electric vehicle owners. And hey, could I be part of that? I could, because this Ford Lightning truck here that the dealer got me for, you know, it's my fault. I can't blame everybody for your problems, right? Or do we? Yeah, in so many ways, it's my fault buying that truck last year, but it wasn't bought for me. It was actually bought for my employee. So, anyways, you know, that's been a story I've gone over and over again. Am I satisfied with the truck? Overall, I am. I mean, the truck for what I do is a perfect match for my business, what I do. So I'm very satisfied with that. I'm not satisfied with the fact that it's taking such a huge loss. I mean, I always kind of felt that truck would always be in the 70 to 80 grand, you know, 70-ish. So if you paid 90 for it, it's a typical buy new car. It's going to be worth 10, 20 grand less at least, especially if it gets more expensive. About a $100,000 vehicle, odds are you'll be lucky to get 80 grand for that car. I mean, it's just the way it plays out. So you go to the Ford Bronco product here, very, extremely satisfied. So satisfied in the Bronco product. I never even wanted the Ford Raptor product. I really did not want that product because the Bronco in itself is just such a nice package. You don't have to go out and spend $100,000 to be happy in a Bronco. I can't emphasize that enough. Just like here, the kid, we're thinking about putting a sticker on the car. So, like, okay, how's that going to look? I don't think it flows with the car, but hey, that flows with the car, right? Yeah, Ice HTV. If you want a sticker, IceHTV comments at gmail.com. I'll mail you one. So yeah, satisfied. So we had the conversation of the different multi-brand cars that drives us to the different vehicles we have, and motorcycles, lawnmowers, tractors, so many things in life. The multi-brand of all of our options. I mean, like over there, I've got an Echo chainsaw. I'm a Husky guy. You know, the Still product line, just so many things that, you know, what makes us become attached to a brand or product. And I think it's because we're satisfied. I think that's the strongest word you can say. But when you're dissatisfied, I doubt you're buying that product again, and I doubt you're keeping that product. And that's why I thought very appropriate conversations this morning is because it's an Indian. If you watch my channel, you'll see that I went to the Indian dealer yesterday to get a follow-up from the, I guess it was Tuesday I went by there, or Wednesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday that I went by there to check up on the Indian Pursuit. And I want to see what Indian's response was when the mechanic took apart the whole front end of that bike. If you watch my channel, you'll see that I went in the back shop. The whole front end was taken apart, and he retorqued the steering head bolt and, you know, and all the other goodies. And it took the guy from that, like Friday, Saturday into Tuesday morning to get that bike back together. A lot of work. And so the bike, obviously, if you watch the channel, it didn't fix itself. I have a very long video of the guy, quality control guy, riding it. And so it wasn't nobody's satisfied with what the bike was doing. So the service that works at the dealership, that's a service manager and overall like GM of the dealership, he emailed Indian. I'm like, okay, we just did all the proper steps of what you told us to do, all the procedures, tire, wheel, and the front end, and the bike still has a problem. So Indian responds with, well, we want you to take apart the whole front end again, and we want you now to actually, in my own view, I don't know, it could be debatable, they want to re-engineer how the bike's been factory settings, in my view. Meaning that I think it's 40 foot-pounds that you take and you tighten down the steering head bolt. And then apparently you turn the handlebars side to side 5 times on the motorcycle. And then you back off that big old bolt 60 degrees to then have the proper specs on how that front handlebar is supposed to make the motorcycle have a free feeling to be able to steer the bike, but also be very secure. So now Indian's saying, no, we now want you to take the whole bike apart, do the exact same thing, but this time we only want you to go 30 degrees instead of 60 degrees backed off. So meaning you take your ratchet, your wrench, and as you're sitting here with your ratchet, and you torque the bike down, okay, you're torquing the bike down, and so then you take the steering wheel and you turn it back and forth, 5 times, okay, and then after all that, you then back your wrench off just 30 degrees from that big old nut instead of going like 60 degrees. So you think that 30 degree difference is going to make that bolt now is even on the front end is tighter, okay? That's the whole point of what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that bolt to be tighter to stop that wobble in that front end. It's not going to fix it. And even for me, I'll be like, wow, we're talking a 30-degree difference on that torque on that bolt. And do I have the confidence really to ride this bike? I mean, is this something that down the road, that head for some reason just loosens up just a little bit and it turns into a violent steering wheel wobble? I mean, it's so bad. And I'm just so sitting on the sidelines before I really call Indian and give him what I really think should be taken care of, and that is to buy the damn bike back. So am I dissatisfied with Indian at this point? Very dissatisfied. I mean, to the point that may I just of the Indian brand, I just may, because it's the Polaris Industries mindset that is now using me as the guinea pig on how to figure out how to fix this motorcycle. When in so many ways, he's having these calls. And here's the thing. Rob, be the boss of your bike, he's had this exact same problem. He claims that the dealership within 6 days' time put a new tire on the bike and it's resolved. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I truly believe that these bikes that everybody's saying they got fixed, I still think there's a little bit of shake up in that front end, but it's not radical because it's just a certain speed that you get that shake. And so for some, they're like, what's the big deal? Well, to me, it's a big deal because I don't have any other motorcycle in my collection and over the years of riding a motorcycle where the steering has this funky little feel to it. I've never owned one of these type of motorcycles. And if I did, I can assure you one thing, if this was my first Indian purchase, it would be the last Indian purchase for sure. I would be totally on the page that Indian, in so many ways, is just not really a great brand. It's a Polaris product, which growing up, the Polaris, in my eyes, was in so many ways junk. So you go back to my era growing up, Polaris to me, I thought Polaris was junk. Even the point, I owned a Polaris ATV, and in so many ways, that thing a piece of junk, it was. I've told that story before. So for me, dissatisfied. How's that all going to play out? So it goes into another week. For the we're now into next, basically, Wednesday, Thursday of next week before this bike will be taken apart again and put all back together and then do the test ride. And so I can't wait for this all to play out one more time And when the bike wobbles, I just can't wait to hear what Indian says. And that's where I'm like, no, it's over. It's over. And I can only hope people watch my YouTube channel start just kind of sharing this information. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had known that this Pursuit had this type of problem, I might have been a little bit more leery of buying the Pursuit, and I definitely would have ridden that bike that I have. But here's what's really weird. That motorcycle has 275 miles on it, and why didn't I really notice this at 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 50 miles? I wonder, and that's very concerning to me. It's like I drove that black Pursuit down there, but does the bike at maybe 50 miles, 100 miles, something change? Is that what really goes on? Because wouldn't every guy that test drove one of these Pursuits resist buying it if you had that feeling? I mean, think that through. If you're an individual, okay, out and test rides a motorcycle, and you feel the bike has a weird sensation, and are you going to buy it? So that's where I'm really puzzled, even for myself, because the challenge for me is when I bought my Indian Pursuit, keep on going here to the Indian Challenger because it's the same bike as the Pursuit. It just doesn't have a tour pack. And what's really concerning to me is I brought those bikes, the Indian Pursuit and the Sport Chief, home in my trailer, and I didn't ride those motorcycles until like the next day or maybe that afternoon. And I just don't remember really feeling that problem. It wasn't until I actually got that bike out and I had ridden it for a while that I actually started to notice that problem. So the whole point of this conversation is, I know it's a little lengthy on the Indian. It's very concerning, and just really, to me, it's just a total bummer that Indian, in my view, they're not going about this in the right way. And you would think, I said this in my yesterday's video, why wouldn't Indian, knowing the Pursuits have this issue, why wouldn't they just go ahead and before they ship these bikes out, get some riding time on them before they crate them up and let them go? And once again, I am so on the page that I think that out of the gate, the bike doesn't show this characteristic. And it's down the road. I'd be so interested to hear from Rob, boss of the bikes or whatever, his YouTube channel. I'd so be interested to say, hey, did you get this steering wobble out of your bike right out of the gate? Or was it like after 50 or 100 miles? I mean, when did it happen? Wow. You can see my breath here from the cold weather. So satisfied, dissatisfied. One of the things that for us as individuals make us dissatisfied versus satisfied. Well, I think everybody here would so agree that when you have a vehicle that you go out to get into every day and it starts up and it gets you to work and it's reliable, that's a huge satisfied purchase. But everybody here knows that who hasn't had the vehicle, whether it's a car, truck, now me for a motorcycle, lawnmower, whatever it may be, and the damn thing doesn't run correctly just a few times. I think we're in such an age today of society, it just takes one or two instances where a person has a car and something happens with it where they're totally dissatisfied with what may have caused them to be on the side of the road or whatever it may be, and it's like, you know what, I'm done with that brand. And I can understand that. I mean, I've had some issues with other cars throughout my lifetime, and I can definitely relate with, you're just like, you know what, I'd never buy this brand ever again. All right, let's kind of get upstairs, I guess, and continue the morning conversations and talk about the breaking news of the Ford Mustang. How about that idea, right? So let's get upstairs and need to grab some of my stickers because I've been mailing a few out. The Ice HTV is getting to be known out there from others helping support it by putting it on your car, vehicle, whatever it may be, and I appreciate that. So let's get up here to the office and talk about the Ford Mustang GT that I think today I'm going to be able to do a video and showing you me picking one up. And get up here, whoops. I wonder how satisfied the union workers are at the UAW. Are they all satisfied? I mean, hey there, pups. These guys look pretty satisfied, or do they? Get the heat on. It's cold. Excuse me. It is cold. Get the other heater on back here. And get the day going. Get the routine. I tell you, just live behind the wheel of a car. Every day of my life, get this little heater on. This thing's pretty cool, too. And, hey, look at that. Want some horns? I'm supposed to give some horns to my buddy Jake if he got the Ram TRX deal done. So I told him. Told Jake, my finance guy, Let me get this thing. The finance guy that, let's see here. That if he got the TRX deal done, I give him a set of those Bullhorns, and he really wants this set of those Bullhorns. Owner actually has my other set of Bullhorns that I took off the Maverick, Ford Maverick truck that I traded in back last spring, whatever. And I gave them the horns. Their horns are actually sitting up in the owner's office. Isn't that pretty cool? And they want another set. Jake wants another set. Yeah, so how do you get off onto that? That conversation. All right, so here's the thing. The Ford Mustang GT yesterday is pretty cool if you're watching my videos. As I was talking about Dave, the service manager, he texted me and bing bam, there was the Mustang being worked on. So the guy that's working on Mustang is pretty cool. He's a Mustang enthusiast. The mechanic has his own custom Mustangs. So that's kind of encouraging because this is a guy that likes to play and toy with things. And so I think he kind of really knows his stuff. Apparently he got in there yesterday at 6:30 and started taking apart my Mustang. And they literally called me yesterday at like close to 5 o'clock. And they said, hey, your car is done, but the caster alignment is kind of challenging for us because we don't have the 2024 alignment machine for the 2024 Mustang. So they had to get creative on that. And the caster apparently is where the wheel and tire and the fender well are either a little forward or a little back. So it's kind of, you're trying to get that, not the camber, but the caster. I think the camber is where the wheel's like this or that, I think. I'm no specialist mechanic or front end guy. So anyways, he called me to let them know that they pretty much feel like they've got it within reason of specs that it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be a big deal because the wheel and tire just maybe just a little forward or a little back from the way it sits in the fender well, but won't affect the way the car drives. So he was going through the list and asking me what I wanted. I said, you know, those springs, probably save the coil springs just for the what if that car really doesn't ride like I thought it should. So they're going to save those, but other than that, they got the short shifter put on, but they had to break some part on the other shifter, which you're like, once you break this little part to put the short shifter on, you're going to have to buy a whole new assembly or something. So, you know, do you want to do this or not? Because once you break it, this is no longer any good to use, and you're going to be having to pay for parts to make it work again. I'm like, yeah, I mean, as long as the short shifter is what it is, I'll take it. So I did that, and it's for those who watch my channel. The whole idea of my Ford Mustang GT is I wanted to get a lower profile stance. So I bought the Steeda springs, not the high performance springs, more of the street style springs to keep the car within the same reason of it, you know, the way it drives and handles, with just a lower stance. And then I bought the rear stabilizer bar, and I bought a front stabilizer bar for it. And I bought the Roush rear mufflers for it. And I bought an H-pipe for it. So they're going through the whole list of everything. And at the last second, they're like, what's that big box over there? The mechanic's like, it says it's the H-pipe. They forgot to put that on. So Dave's now like, we've got to keep going. So I would imagine today, I'm going to have a video of me going over to Coons Baltimore Ford and pick up my new Ford Mustang GT and see how it performs. And I've already told them once the Ford Performance releases the new Whipple supercharger that's 800 horsepower with a factory 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, I want to do one of those as well. So that'll be next year's project on a car. I think that car, but here's the thing. Danger is these dark horses that are sitting in these Ford dealerships, people aren't satisfied to buy them. Yes, I'm really kind of watching that, and that's the danger point. But you know what? I can always have two really badass Ford Mustangs, right? So here's what's going on. People are not buying these high-priced Ford Mustang dark horses. And, you know, for anybody that would come to me, I'd say, you're a fool. You're telling me you're going to pay $20,000 over a $68,000 car when you can go buy a used GT 500 Mustang. Are you an idiot? You're an idiot. You just spent $90,000 on a dark horse when you can find a very nice GT 500. I mean, I'm telling you, you're stupid. You're stupid. Why would you do that? 68 grand's even too much for the damn dark horse. You're getting up into the range of possibly being into a really abused in so many ways, GT500. So here's the danger. All these dealerships are now showing $10,000 discounts. So, yeah. So they had their car, like Ted Britt Ford of Fairfax has a dark horse Ford Mustang. I think it's black color. And they want like $86,000 for it. Well, they've taken it 10 grand off. Now they want $76,000. And but people aren't buying it. Same thing. So the word in the street, especially like in the 7G Mustang forum, people are just like, no way, man. You're an idiot. You're a fool to spend all the money. You're a fool. So here's once again, I go to Coons Ford today. There's a dark horse sitting there, and they're like, we want $5 grand over. And then I'm like, well, you give me good value traded something, and I'd maybe think about it. I mean, that's where it all goes. But yeah, I think today's going to be more focused on getting the Mustang and getting it back home and seeing how it performs. And this, in so many ways, I may just come to the closure. I don't want the dark horse, but here's the danger. The dark horse can be the 10-speed auto. The dark horse can be the adaptive cruise control. The dark horse will have the leather heated and cooled seats. The dark horse, I mean, so it's so much more the gentleman's car that for me, I'd be like, wow, yeah, wow. And then that car has the same capability of me wanting to lower it, if I want to put a supercharger on it. That car, the danger of that car, already has the active exhaust, which I've watched videos of the new Ford Mustang GT, active exhaust, 2024 versus 2023, and it's a big difference. So it has a very nice sounding exhaust. So wow. Oh, dilemmas, right? But once again, it's still early in the game, and I don't think the dealership is dissatisfied yet that nobody's jumping on these things. I'm sure they're still on the page. Well, we were at 20 grand over. We're at 10 grand over. We can probably get a guy still to give us 7 to 8 over on it, maybe. Worst case is they go to 5 grand over, then they know it's going to probably go bye-bye. Probably. They go to MSRP, it's poof, it's gone. So a lot of dissatisfied dark horse purchasers are sitting in sidelines. And now the UAW is back on the line. The reality is you'll be able to probably get one that if you ordered it, maybe a month later for you to get it. I don't even know. I mean, the Ford Mustang plant, from my understanding, never got totally shut down. It was still kind of, chugging along. So how satisfied are the dealers now? I mean, you see so many videos. It's just incredible how many videos are out there where people get 20, 30, 40, 50,000 views on a guy riding around in his Dodge Challenger Swinger green. This is a guy out of California. I've seen him off and on over the years where he's he drives around and he pretends he's going to buy a car from a dealership. And he gets 40. Hey, how satisfied are you watching these videos? I mean, I'm sure somebody be like my channel, yeah, buddy, you do a lot of talking. I get all that. I get it. But Jesus Christ, can you see me making the video sincerely of me going around to car dealerships and blatantly lying that I'm going to buy a car from them? I mean, wait a second, do I do that? Yeah, do I actually do that? Or sometimes deals don't go down. So satisfied. How dissatisfied are your car? And that's what happens. And that's my challenge in life. This satisfaction of the car that I have starts to waver, and then I feel like I have to get the latest, greatest, baddest next thing. That's my challenge. Yeah, that has been my driving force. If I have my day at the car, and then something newer comes along better, and then poof, I'm out because the satisfaction of the car I have, it's gone. But that's huge. In this area that I live in, I just campsites enough. I mean, I know people watch my channel, and I do have a lot of cars, and I buy a lot of cars all the time. But there's a lot of other people out there at a different level, meaning most people, they'll buy a car, they're one car, they'll keep it 3 to 6 months, they just buy another car. They don't add a car. That's my challenge. I just add another car. I can't let go of the car I want and have, so I just want to have another car. So, but it's huge. So is the car industry at the highest level ever of the satisfied or unsatisfied? And you have to say in so many ways in this area, you see so many brand new cars. Like there's already all these Jeep Grand Wagoneers and Jeep Wagoneers all over the place in the used market. There's already a fair amount of C8 Corvettes used in the market. I mean, there's so many variables that I know play on that. There's now the calling that the Dodge Challenger SRTs and the Hellcats are sitting in lots like never seen before in most recent times. Is it because people aren't dissatisfied with the pricing? Are they dissatisfied with the loss of their income, of the inflation? I mean, what is going on? What is that? Are the banks not satisfied that their lending policies are appropriate, and they've pulled back because they're getting so-called the repos are through the roof and the bad loans are through the roof? I mean, is that what's going on? The banks aren't satisfied anymore that people applying to buy these cars really don't deserve to have these cars, and they're just too much of a risk. So they're dissatisfied. I mean, what's going on, right? I mean, why? What is happening? You know, what's really interesting is I'm not a realtor, but apparently there's this major lawsuit that has been against the Realtors Association, and it's like pockets in the country. It's much more elaborate than my knowledge, because I am not a real estate person, but all I know is it sounds like if you're a realtor, it sounds like the whole commission structure is all changing. But you've heard this for years. So in some ways, here's the thing. In my local area here, I know for a fact that these car sales guys are not doing well. They're not. And what is going on? I mean, why, what has happened? What is going on where I know for a fact here at the Ram local Jeep dealership, I know for a fact that place is not selling the cars they used to sell. And the Highline cars are not moving. So what's going on? I mean, sincerely, why is it? And I told, one of my friends, I said, part of me says that this new Speaker of the House, Johnson, he's such a conservative guy. When later in the November, when both parties have to come to agreement to keep the government funded, does this really become just a total headbutt, and it doesn't go anywhere? And this is such a government-based area that if you're a government employee that works in this area, you're not going to get a paycheck if the government gets shut down. You no longer get a paycheck. So, I mean, it isn't like when the government shuts down that you still get a check. No, you don't get a check. So in so many ways, I think when Matt Gaetz kicked out Kevin McCarthy and brought in this new guy Johnson in, my thoughts were, will this guy cater to the more liberal Democratic side of the House? I don't think he is. I think this is going to be a sticking point. So the whole point that I'm trying to make here is, in this area, part of me says a lot of these people are saying, you know what? I'm not committing to any big purchases because I don't know if we're going to go into a major lockdown with the government, and we could be a 30-day plus sit out of me earning monies. Is that what's going on? Is it more about the interest rates that have scared people away? Is it because the car dealerships just continue to raise their prices and don't negotiate? Is it because the car you bring to trade in, the value is tanked on it? I mean, there's so many variables. But at the same time, I was down at Dulles Motorcycles at Dulles yesterday with my video, and the main showroom where they show all these people buying motorcycles, they had 3 very, very low-priced motorcycles even sitting in the showroom. So, and it's quiet, but I know it's that time of the year, everything starts to change. So in that industry, it's kind of hard to say. But at the same time, that dealership always has something going on with sales. So is the message here that the consumers are not satisfied with the state of times, and they're more dissatisfied with the fact that everything's gotten so expensive, and for you to go out and buy a car anymore, you're sick of the idea of having to beg and plead to buy a car and argue to get a discount in the car, but then you're insulted like never before once you bring your car to trade. And at the same time, I think what's going on as well is the banks are just saying no. I think that there's people coming in to buy a car, and the bank is like, no, we're not satisfied with your payment history. We're not satisfied with your exposure. So, you're not going to be able to buy that vehicle. I mean, is that going on? I don't know. I mean, there's so many things. But are we now seeing the true reality of this so-called hot economy that they've been talking about that hasn't slowed down, that it's now really starting to cool down? Is it really happening? I don't know. hard to say. But anyways, kind of leave it at that. I know my videos are really long and in great depth and conversations and everything else. But I think I had a good week. I think the Monday multi-brand was a great conversation. I think the Tuesday conversation of flaws was a great conversation. I think the strong conversation on Wednesday was great. I think the weak conversation on Thursday was a good. I think today, to wrap it up, and I think, as I just mentioned, do we live in the times more than ever where people just aren't satisfied, and that's why they're constantly buying something new, something else? I mean, is that an all-time high? I mean, I think it is, because it just seems like the churn of new cars and people that keep them and get rid of them. I think I think maybe it's now changing a little bit more, but it'd be interesting to see today's statistic, like in certain pockets of really rich demographic areas, of the average length of ownership of a car. I'd be really curious to know that. I wonder who has that data. So anyways, gonna leave it at that. So stay tuned for hopefully me getting over to Baltimore. I mean, yesterday I was thinking I'd be in Baltimore. Yeah, I wasn't even close to that. I was down in Alexandria and other areas all day yesterday. I never could even get to Baltimore. But the good news is I was able to buy the motorcycles at Dulles. I know a lot of people watch my channel, like Mr. Sanchez. He's a really great subscriber of mine that likes to bring his words of wisdom and thoughts to the channel. And he's just so much like, man, I don't know how you just haven't gotten in these guys' face like you can't believe. And yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I don't disagree. But here's the thing. I'm going to give Indian the one more shot of what they're going to do, and then that's it. I'm just not playing anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead. I mean, that's why I can't wait till next week to see how this plays out and prove me wrong. This bike doesn't wobble. I don't believe it. I think it's going to wobble. And I'm going to tell the service guy to email them. The owner is now demanding buyback of motorcycle. He is in the process of reaching out to lawyers to see what his position is and what he can do to have this matter resolved. So that's going to be the message. So they know, hey, this guy's not playing no more. He's over. He's done. Time for you guys to buy the bike back. And he's not a satisfied customer. So does that play out? Yeah, that'll be interesting. So I hope the channel brings, like I say, I hope anybody that watches my channel is getting ready to buy any Pursuit and be like, whoa. And that's what Mr. Sanchez is saying. He was so on the page to buy an Indian Pursuit, and he is so happy now that he watches my channel to realize that would have been a huge mistake. Oh, one big thing. I'm so glad I kept on talking here. Sorry to drag on, but yes, it's official. The CVO Road Glide 2023, the new design, apparently the 2024 touring models from Harley, that's what's coming to the new style Harley. So apparently there was a friend, Chris, my friend, had talked to one of the Harley dealers that went to the Harley meeting, and they're being told that a whole new refresh of the touring models will be off the new 23 CVO Road Glide, meaning the way the bike looks, not the engine, but the way the bike looks, and all the new infotainment information is going to be all on the new 24 touring models. That's really exciting because for me, I'd rather at this point have the new Harley-Davidson new touring model and just move on from Indian. I think that's where how it's all going to play out. So kind of wish I was downstairs and told you that, because I could show you more of the flair of the new 24 touring models by the new bags, the tank, everything's all been redesigned. So that's exciting, and I would guess it's going to be probably about the middle of January when Harley will probably do the big reveal. So that's exciting times, right? And then, so how many dissatisfied Harley owners or I should say satisfied Harley owners, will come to feel like they're dissatisfied of their older model bike and want to buy the new bike to be more satisfied, right? That's how it all plays out today. Thanks for watching. God bless. Stay safe. Stay safe out there. It's crazy times. And stay tuned for the Ford Mustang GT video, hopefully today, and see some shorts or whatever plays out. Have a great day.